Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you all are doing well and have had a great day. My name is Max. I'm the CEO of Because Bitcoin, joined by our CFO, Hagrid, also known as Big Country Tuck, and one of our top analysts, Louis T, also known as Louis Tuesday, even though actually today is Tuesday. But every day's a Louis Tuesday when Louis is around.
Yeah.
And happy Louis Tuesday for all of you who celebrate. But guys, thanks for joining us. So here's the deal. Normally, every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. EST, we run a boys club mega space. What we've been doing is we all come together, two communities, and then of course just random people from X and people, maybe they don't even know what the boys club is. And we get together and we talk charts, we talk price, we talk narratives, we hang out, right? And we kind of update everybody on where the boys club is at, how things are playing out, where the market's at. And of course, we've talked previously about how it's all connected, right? It's like at the end of the day, for Andy and Wolf to go up, they're going to need Pepe to go up. And for Pepe to go up, you need ETH to go up. And for ETH to go up, you need Bitcoin to go up. And for Bitcoin to go up, you need the S&P and the NASDAQ to perform well. And for that to perform well, you're going to need liquidity. I mean, it's a whole giant cobweb of interconnectivity. And one of our main objectives here is to create two of the most educated communities on the face of the planet, the two of the most educated communities that crypto has ever seen, because my philosophy is the following: an educated community is a wealthy community. And there's a lot of people out there that maybe they have big followings. They don't know what they're talking about. They like to just kind of stir up emotion and engagement bait, engagement farm, all this crap. And if we can create these communities that are some of the most educated, then it will empower all of our holders to make decisions at the right time, in the right conditions, and decisions ultimately based off of technicals, fundamentals, market conditions, rather than, oh, some guy told me that Bitcoin's going to 50K. I should sell all my stuff. We want to avoid that, right? We want to avoid emotional decisions as best as we can. And it's an emotional game, right? There's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of money at stake, and money fluctuating up and down, in huge quantities can definitely bring out certain emotions. But either way, guys, we're doing things a little bit differently today. And we're actually doing it differently because I'm a little bit under the weather. And I wanted to be able to rely on charts a little bit more than just yapping and having to narrate everything. So we're going to be sharing some charts today. We're going to be kind of updating everybody on like where the market's at, maybe go over some previous charts that we've had. We'll make some charts together. But really, we're here to talk about the boys club, right? The beta train, the premier Ethereum beta of this cycle. Andy, Pepe, Brett, Landwolf, right? The big four, the beta train. You gotta love it, right? You gotta love it. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for joining. Let me just check and make sure that the stream is looking good right now. All right, great. We got some people coming in here. Very, very, very nice. All right, fantastic. Good.
What
Just
do you
making
want to look at, Max? What do you want to check out?
Well, you know what I want to check out. But first thing I want to ask you guys in the comments is, do we want a little background music? Do we want you guys like this? Can you hear that? Do you like that?
Is that lo-fi, Max? Is that lo-fi?
Do we like the background music or no? Give me a yes or no in the comments, guys. Because before we get to, it's like a now or never thing. We got to get the music on now, or we're not going to do music. Someone said, yeah, that's nice. Lunatic says no. Give me your comments, guys. Come on. Oh, we're split down the middle. Okay, I've seen a lot of yeses. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. All right, that's pretty soft.
That's better. That's nice.
Good compromise. That's a good compromise.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good compromise. Yeah, that's pretty low. If at any point during the stream, if it just becomes distracting, just let me know. But I'm not going to go off of one comment. It's going to have to be like, a plethora of comments. You know what I mean? But also, guys, I sent a few invites to a couple of our regulars that have joined us in the spaces. So I think it sounds like Donnie's going to be joining us as well, man. Donnie, he's a Giga Chad, man. Donnie's a Giga Chad, so he'll be joining us. We'll see if some of the Wolf guys come up. Do you guys like the music, Tucker and Louie?
I like it. I like it.
Like it?
It's nice.
You're a fan of the music?
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. We're gonna do it. Okay, so where do we want to start today, boys? Where do we want to start? Maybe we just do a quick like Bitcoin cycle update, and then we'll kind of work our way in. How does that sound? That sound good?
I like it.
I feel like you can't go wrong starting with, because it's like at the end of the day, everything is.
We'll go top down. Top down.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna go top down a little bit. So let's do this. We're gonna share my screen to start, and we're gonna pull up the most famous chart. Actually, I don't know if I like the music. I feel like it's distracting me.
You're distracted.
I might be. I might be distracted. I think it's distracting me a little bit. We'll see if we can power through it. If not, I'll switch it off. All right. Yeah, I'm turning it off. Sorry, guys. The music's getting yanked, bro.
We got Donnie.
Yeah, I'm cheating the music. Donnie, what's up, bro? I can't hear Donnie.
He might be on his phone.
It's over. All right. Well, we'll see if we can get Donnie's audio to work. But guys, this is a chart that we've talked about in previous spaces right here.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear us?
I can't hear the stream for some reason. Let me just try and fix that.
All right, guys. Technical difficulties. Hang with us. All right. Hang with us.
Donnie, you got to get to the desk, brother. Get to the desk.
Yeah, we want to see Donnie smiling. All right, guys. So we're going to start with this. I talk about this in every space because, like I mentioned in my very, very beginning introduction here, Andy and Wolf are going to do well when Pepe does well, and Pepe is going to do well when ETH does well, and ETH is going to do well when Bitcoin does well, and Bitcoin's going to do well when blah, 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 blah. So stopping right there, assuming, hey, Bitcoin's doing well. Obviously, it's in price discovery. It's been following our fractal, just as anticipated, right? We need to know where Bitcoin's next move is before ultimately saying, hey, it's time for Ethereum beta to go higher, right? So starting here, we're right on track, guys. Like we are splitting the difference between the previous two cycles. Quick update, we've got our Bitcoin halving and our U.S. presidential elections marked out with these orange dots, and then U.S. elections here in red dots. Oh, we got Wabi up here too. What's up, Wabi? So,
Wabi.
Mr. Big Business.
Sorry, guys. I'm getting a little background noise too. Everybody make sure your mic, like noise cancellation is off, like background noise cancellation. Guys, we're going to get into a groove. Don't worry about it here. But I wanted to give a quick update to this chart, right? And there's something to be said about like the cyclical positioning and seasonality as well, right? You can see typically, and I have these marked out where like typically you get like a big correction sometime in December-ish, based on the previous two cycles. But we are doing what we've always done.
Correction sometime in based on the previous two cycles.
What is that?
Donnie,
who is that? I'm getting some tremendous background noise. Okay.
Yeah, I got him.
Okay, so we're splitting the difference between these previous two cycles right here, where we were, by the way, we were following this chart down in here, right? Like we were down in here and we're like, we have completely synced up with the previous two cycles. We need to get the US presidential election out of the way. And then it's time, more probabilistically than not, it's time to start ramping, right? Because typically the best time to buy digital assets is going to be between the Bitcoin halving and the U.S. presidential election. So somewhere within this little window. And as you can see, we are ramping right on schedule. Currently right here. You can see it. So we're kind of splitting the difference between the previous two cycles. Now, I know we see some red on the board today and everybody's losing their mind saying it's over. I will remind you, for the non-Americans, this is a holiday week, right? This is Thanksgiving. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Thanksgiving Day massacre, but November of 2021 has a special place in my heart as being awful. So these U.S. holidays, they're typically more illiquid, lower volatility. Like there's just not as much activity, and they really leave the door open for like positional unwinds. And this time of the year really is no different. So zooming way out, right? We're looking at, a multi-year stretch right here. And we've overlaid the previous 2 cycles with the current one. You can see how so far this time is not different. Now, we're going to give another quick update to where we potentially are within, like, when do altcoins catch their big rotation, right? So we know that this next phase of the cycle should be a Bitcoin ramp. We're already seeing it, but it really should kind of escalate and continue, okay? So now we're going to get this off, and we're actually going to do this next one together live, all right? And then, of course, I'm going to try to fly through these because I want to have a big discussion about the boys club here with everybody. And like I said, I'm not feeling so great, so I need to save my yapping a little bit. But anyways, let's talk about like when altcoins typically catch their rotation, okay? So here's Bitcoin up top, and what we're going to do is we're going to put ETH BTC down below because this is ultimately the chart that we care about. Okay. When does ETH begin to really outperform that of Bitcoin? That's the big question, right? Because you look at ETH, and here I can even put up ETH down below as well. I mean, you guys should obviously be aware of the ETH underperformance at this point because I assume most of you are holding ETH and you're just like, damn, this is terrible. ETH is dead. Maybe they were right. But as you can see, here, actually, let me add these back up here. As you can see right here, guys, like Bitcoin's already in price discovery. And ETH is just, ETH is just like not even close, right? So here's ETH down below, Bitcoin's up top. I mean, the big question is like, when is this going to end, right? Where, Bitcoin is chatting in price discovery and ETH is not even close to price discovery yet. So like, that's what we're trying to figure out because the question of like, when does ETH beta, when do our meme coins, when does like the froth really start? It happens not only when, Bitcoin's in price discovery, but you need ETH in price discovery. But even more than that, you just need ETH as an L1 to outperform Bitcoin as an L1, right? So let's take ETH off the chart now. We don't need it right now. And let's pull back up ETH against Bitcoin because we know where ETH USD is, right? But we're going to update typically when does ETH begin to outperform Bitcoin because that answers the multi-billion-dollar, if not potentially trillion-dollar cumulatively question. When does the ETH beta start to go crazy? So let's mark this out. Previous Bitcoin all-time highs right here. Previous Bitcoin all-time high right here. We're going to keep going. Previous Bitcoin all-time high. If I can get my mouse to work right here. Okay. And then ETH BTC is a ratio down below. So just for the people that are just learning, what am I looking at here? So Bitcoin up top, ETH BTC down below. When this chart is moving up like this, that means that ETH is outperforming Bitcoin. When the chart's moving down, Bitcoin's outperforming ETH, right? And typically you get like the mania and the froth when this chart starts moving up. Now, a prime example of that would be like, let's just look at Doge, right? When has Doge gone crazy in the past? Okay. And I'm using Doge because Doge is, the king meme coin. It's the Bitcoin of meme coins. It's the oldest meme coin, right? Historically speaking, when Doge really goes nuts, that's sort of like when the market is reaching peak, froth, peak mania, right? So as you can see here, like when ETH BTC goes crazy and is rallying off of its floor, you can see that typically lines up with Doge pumping pretty hard right over here, right? So look at the previous 2 cycles, right? ETH BTC is, well off of its floor. Doge is putting in crazy moves because Doge, yes, it's like, it's the king meme coin, but it's also kind of like your risk on barometer. It's your risk on, oscillator at the end of the day. So like looking at this chart here, we haven't even begun to see like the crazy move. I know Doge has started to move a little bit, but like not even really close. Okay, so let me get rid of Doge. I just wanted to point that out because we want to talk about when is the rotation into ETH BTC going to happen, right? Like when is ETH going to catch a bigger bid than Bitcoin? Well, let's just kind of mark this out very casually here. Bitcoin goes into price discovery, this black line right here in 2017. And then the remainder of the cycle really belonged to ETH, right? I mean, you can see right here, it was pretty wild. Okay. Now let's mark it out last cycle. Bitcoin goes into price discovery. And then, the remainder of the cycle belonged to Ethereum, right? So Bitcoin has just gone into price discovery right here. And you can see we're trying to like carve out a little bottom here. We can get into some of the lower time frames later. But in theory, if this time is not different, which again, the first chart that I showed you is that Bitcoin is right on schedule doing what it has always done. In theory, we should start to see the next few months belong to ETH against Bitcoin. And I will mention that seasonally, December through May, so December, January, February, March, April, and May typically are the best times to be invested in ETHUSD and ETHBTC following a Bitcoin halving. All right. So this is really what we're waiting for, is like the crazy, ETH BTC, wherever it goes. Maybe it makes new highs, maybe it doesn't, but just up from here because of what Bitcoin is doing, right? And I'll even highlight this here just to show you, what happens here. This next phase of the cycle is Bitcoin goes crazy in price discovery, but it doesn't go as crazy as ETH. It's the catch-up trade. It's the catch-up trade. It's the hated rally, right? So we're really waiting and kind of expecting, something like this. Right? Something like this. All right, let's just make sure the stream is doing well here. All right, we got a pretty nice little turnout here. 340 on YouTube. Not bad for an impromptu stream. Got some more watching on Twitter. Okay, got another couple thousand on Twitter. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're new here, like the video, share the video. There's no better way to help people learn, to help people become educated investors, and ultimately to get people interested in Andy and Wolf than sharing the content, right? That's all you got to do. Run the likes up, share the content. We'll take care of the rest. He said, I know I'm late, but the background music sucks. I hope it stops. We turned it off, bro. If you're watching. It did suck. It was distracting me. So, guys, I'm going to just kind of pause here. All right. I'm going to pause here. This is ultimately what we're waiting for, right? This is why we're in crypto. Not for little pumps, not for the 10% pumps, not even for Bitcoin rallying. We love Bitcoin rallying. But what we're really here chasing is the elusive and the mysterious and the long awaited and anticipated, ever patient ETH BTC rally. I'm going to just say that and see what you guys have to say back.
Q1, brother. Q1. It has been and always will be Q1 of the post-halving year. And you have it marked out. Well, kind of, right? Like if you mark out the yearly open of, every post-halving year, that's it. That's the time. So we need Bitcoin to drag us up a little bit more, in my opinion, right? I mean, we got right to 100K. I think you get like 110, 120. That's probably peak for dominance. Now, that's actually interesting and something we should probably talk about, which is Bitcoin dominance.
And I just put this up here, Tucker, by the way.
So. Yeah, that's a pretty chart right there. So we're waiting on that purple. We're waiting on that purple really Q2, right? I guess kind of mid Q2 is when you want to look to sell into ETH BTC strength, right? But we need to talk about Bitcoin dominance here because, I mean, it looks pretty damn topped, but the implications on the price of Bitcoin, I don't love, right? Like, I kind of wanted to see Bitcoin go into like 107, 110 before this thing topped, but it looks pretty damn top to me, guys. It really does. So,
do you think we get one more stab or no? One more stab at the highs? And guys, Tucker, tell them, why do we care about Bitcoin dominance? Just for those that are learning. All right.
Well, we care because it is Bitcoin's dominance over the rest of the market, right? Like Bitcoin makes up right now 59% of the total crypto market cap. We want it to go down because that would mean that our altcoins are gaining market share. So it's not so much a predictive tool, right? It's more just a barometer of where the market's at. But every cycle we see it run up into Q4 of the halving year and then nuke for like 5 to 6 months. So I don't know though. I mean, it looks pretty topped. I was expecting a move higher, like 62% on Bitcoin dominance, but it's inverse ETH BTC, right? So it's the inverse of the chart.
That's why I have this up here. Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally just the inverse. So do we think ETH BTC is bottomed? I guess is the question. And it doesn't bottom, I guess, according to your chart, until we cross into that blue zone, basically. So we're not quite there yet.
But it's really just the end of Q4, right? Is like if you just shoved ETH over Bitcoin on December 31st, like you're gonna be really damn close to the bottom of ETH BTC and the top of Bitcoin dominance, right? I mean, it's not a perfect science, but I think the point of this is like, here's the thing. This has been a cycle of firsts, right? Like this was the first cycle that Bitcoin actually made an all-time high before a Bitcoin halving. That had never happened before, right? And I've been watching and observing that we have been like we're right on schedule, but we're like on the early part of the schedule, right? Like we've been out in front of most of like the big moves and big rotations, right? A little bit earlier. Like for example, Doge started pumping a little earlier than it normally does. Bitcoin got out in front of its skis in March. All these little like rotations, I feel like we're like a month like a month on the early side, but still within our like standard model of like this is where we've always been, if that makes sense. That's kind of a hatchet job of trying to explain it, but I hope that makes sense. So I'm like, if you think that we're about to go green, blue, purple, and that's when you're about to get alt season, right? And that's when you're about to see, Pepe, Andy, Brett, Wolf go crazy, is when they have ETH tailwind. Like ETH is actually leading the market rather than getting dragged up, kicking and screaming by Bitcoin. If you think that we're about to go green, blue, purple, do you really feel comfortable waiting until the last minute to get positioned? That's ultimately the question that you have to ask yourself. Because me personally, I like to get positioned, even if it means being a little bit early in something that I'm high conviction on and just sitting here and waiting, because I know that this is most likely going to happen. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm pretty confident that we go green, blue, purple, and we see Bitcoin dominance get destroyed through Q2, right? Like absolutely murdered through Q2. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, you probably want to shove ETH BTC here, which means you probably want to shove ETH beta here, right? Because ETH beta performs the best. I mean, just beta performs the best when ETH is leading the market, right? And we talked about that for a second here with Doge, right? Here, let me even pull Doge up here again, because Doge, the reason I keep using Doge is because Doge is our, it's the oldest meme coin. We have the most price history. And you can look to Doge to kind of be like, from a timing perspective, an accurate forecast of when your new memes are going to perform well. Like Doge should ultimately lead. I think we lost someone.
Donnie.
See if Donnie comes back.
Donnie's gone.
He's gone. See if we can get him back. But like look at this right here. It's like when things get really nuts and out of control. So here, I'll even just label this. I'll label this here. Here's Doge. And then here's Bitcoin dominance.
Ooh.
Put that in orange. And then ETH BTC is up here. Okay. So I'm like, how confident do you really feel in like sitting and waiting till the last second? Because like these moves, like it kind of looks like you'll have like a huge opportunity to just like buy Doge and buy Pepe and Andy and Wolf and whatever, like whenever you want. I'm like, you don't realize that like once this starts going, it's like 30-40% back to back to back days. All right, we got Donnie back. So I'm like, how confident do you really feel? Like, I feel like we're so close, and this has been a cycle of like honestly being out in front of our skis a little bit.
Yeah.
Why would you not be positioned right now as we're over halfway through Q4 for this inevitable green, blue, purple?
But max prices can go lower.
Do it then.
That's like, I don't know. It's like everyone, it's like, but what if it goes lower? So what if it goes lower? Like, just buy a little more, or you're down on your investment for a couple days. Like, you just got to get over that fear. I feel like people have so much fear about like being wrong. Like, you can't be fearful of being wrong and investing. That's like the number one lesson if you want to take from investing. It's the best loser wins. Got to be able to lose and be okay with it, and stick things out. Because if you can't, then you don't deserve the upside that comes with it, right? If you can't deal with the downside, you don't deserve the upside. It's pretty much that simple. So
You know what it is, Louis, man? It's analysis paralysis is what it
Yeah.
is.
Right.
There's so much stuff out there
Yeah.
that they're just, there's too many opinions. And that's what I that's why I really like doing these, is because I understand that this is a lot of people's first cycle. And if I can save even one person from making the mistakes that I made, listening to the wrong people, not looking at the data and like the cycle data and the seasonal, I mean the whole thing, the whole picture. And just letting people that honestly are just goofballs that have big followings like compel you to feel a certain type of way, you're going to lose your money. Oh, it's going to pull back. Oh, you're going to be on the wrong side of this one, It's like there's no guarantees, but it's like I love just showing the data. Like I want to just present the data as clearly as I possibly can so people can make informed decisions, It's like but eventually you got to pull the trigger, right? I mean, look at this. Q1 is in blue. Welcome, guys. We got a big panel. Speak up, everybody. Come hang. How we doing?
I'll say this to start off. In May of 2021, right, ETH BTC had a return of 50%, and in that month, within 4 days, SHIB went from 800 mil market cap to over 20 billion, right? And in February earlier this year, ETH BTC only gave a 2% return. And I mean, we all know what happened with Pepe, right? And then in May of this year, I think ETH BTC gave a 10% ish return. And we all know what happened on chain, right? So historically speaking, right, in post halving years, 2017, 2021, Ethereum outperformance against BTC typically only happens between the months of January and then February in 21 was a bit red, but for the most part, right, January through May, that tends to be like the most bullish seasonal period for Ethereum, right? And, truth be told, right, like ETH BTC basically retraced all of its run up that it had in 2021, right? And, I understand that sentiment is a bit low at the moment, right? But, again, it's been month over month over month for the past 2+ years where you have an asset depreciate so much that it's kind of consensus now to bash on it. And it's at that time, right, when the market is so positioned in one side that the market just kind of rips in your face, right? It's now it's actually a beach ball underwater, in my opinion, right? So, I think about it like this, right? You see all the inflows that the ETFs have had for BTC. I do think, right, with this next administration that comes in, right, the Trump administration, that's probably when you're going to see ETH rip up like 2x in a month. And for those that don't think that that can happen, right, if you take the total amount that Dogecoin went up, XRP, Stellar Lumens, right, XLM, all the big Dino coins, right, from 2017. If you combine all of the billions that went into these assets, Ethereum can go up 50%, no problem, no problem. And these moves that these altcoins have had all happened in the course of like a week and a half. So I do think some point in January, right, perhaps the true rally starts going into Christmas, right? The Christmas rally. Anytime from there up until like mid-January, I think we could see an explosive move for Ethereum. But I do think like people aren't really considering that this time isn't different, right? because I know this cycle has thrown a little bit of a curveball, but we see how quickly things can rally. And man, I'm just gonna say it out. I'm just gonna say it here again, right? I'm saying this for the past like year and a half. Survive until 25. That's when most of the magic happens in crypto, right? The post-halving year, and the setup that we have right now, guys, right? Pro crypto president, pro crypto House, Senate. It's the most bullish setup that we'll ever see in our entire lives. So if ETH is going to go, to 10K, 15K, this is a cycle to do it. And I think it's going to happen very quickly, very fast. That's what this market cycle has taught us, right? And I don't really think this time is any different as far as how wild these prices can move, right? We saw Doge 4x in a month. We saw Dino coins like XLM push really fast. We saw Pepe mark up by 2x in a day when it got Coinbase. So I really think it's only a matter of time, right? I think short term, all we have to do is survive this week, right? Historically speaking, Thanksgiving week, markets take a little bit of a breather. But going into that first week of December, markets quickly pick right back up. So those are kind of my opening statements here, guys. And hopefully, if history does repeat itself, I say that a lot, right? Ethereum does tend to make a new year-to-date high in December. We saw that last year, right? BTC and ETH and majors as a whole, right? They basically grinded in a range after that March top. We saw BTC rally in November of last year. ETH kind of lagged behind. But then, mid-December came around. IWM started going crazy, making new year-to-date highs, and ETH followed, right? So happened last year, happened in 2020. So I don't really think this time is any different. We're about to enter the most bullish seasonal period where prices move a lot quicker than people expected. So at least grab yourself a position if you're mostly in stables, in my opinion. So it's kind of my opening statement here, guys. I don't want to take up.
No, that was great, Wabi. That was really good, and I want to go over some like Thanksgiving examples too, because this is kind of like the final boss before like the froth and the seasonality typically really kicks in. And you had brought this up, Wabi, where look at when we were all together as a team in Colorado. Remember early 2024 in February.
That was nasty, man. That was a beautiful rally. That was so insane, man.
So like ETH breaks above its local high, rallies 50%, and Pepe rallied, 1,000%. This is the same block of time, right? So the way I look at the current setup is, ETH kind of has this little normie trend line right here, from its current yearly high, rejected there, rejected recently. I'm like, maybe we do this. But when that happens, like I'm fully expecting Pepe to do like, something like this, right? And just go crazy from here. So it's going to be, in my view, a situation where, you see ETH probably start to rally to new highs, above 5K, which is crazy because it's, like literally 5K is like, not that far away. So imagine, ETH does something like this, another, 60% or something like that. Based on the relationship that we have between, Pepe and ETH, and the reason we're focused on ETH again is because the boys club needs ETH to do well. And the boys club is led by Pepe. So we need Pepe to do well. So I'm like, I would expect another crazy face melting rally to the upside when ETH finally breaks out here again, just like we saw in early 2024. It's pretty obvious the relationship between the two of them. And that's what Wabi was saying, or part of what Wabi was saying. Another thing I'd like to show you guys that Wabi was saying is like, what we need to be focused on is like, there are these, I call it the Thanksgiving Day massacre. Okay. Thanksgiving is usually garbage price action. All right. So if we were to look right here, all right, let's look here. And we're going to pull up Bitcoin and we're going to look at Bitcoin on every Thanksgiving. All right, so we're going to go all the way back here. We're going to mark them all out. I want to show you guys. All right. So it was November. It was right here. It was November 24th was Thanksgiving in 2016. So we'll mark this out right here. So this was Thanksgiving week right here. So we'll mark this out right here. Thanksgiving. Here was Thanksgiving in 2016. And by the way, this is in logarithmic mode. This is really how the chart looks. All right. We're going to keep it in log for now, though. All right. So there's Thanksgiving. And then we're going to pull up another one. All right. Go to the 2-day, and we'll go to get a little background noise from somebody, just a heads up. All right, and then here was Thanksgiving in 2020, Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving. All right. And now let's look at where we're currently at. And we'll put this up on the 2-day, which is the same. So when I look at this, I'm like, well, kind of feels like we're just doing like the little Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving week pullback that we always do, right? It feels super similar to me, just looking at all these charts together.
Yeah.
I guess it's possible that it's the end of times, but again, it's like that's why we're here doing this, is because we want to make decisions based on the data and not based off of emotions, right? So I look at this chart and I'm like, yeah, this is just kind of what we always see. Like we should really start to pick up like as soon as next week, December 1st, and Thanksgiving is behind us, and we have seasonal tailwinds and, all that fun jazz. So here's the data, right? Here's the data. And this is what Wabi was saying as well. I'm just painting it on the chart, but he was saying this.
Drop in the bucket.
It even happened last year, Max. We had like just a little bit of a pullback. I think we retraced from like just under 3,800 to like 36K 0.3, right around there. But, as you said, right, like it's such a quick dip, right? You only have 2 to 3 days of chop, and then immediately going into the December open, you pop right back up, right? And I mean, if you bought any trending altcoin in the December monthly open, right, going into the yearly open, you did tremendous, right? Really, really good. So, I don't see how this time is any different, especially with all the tailwinds that we have, right? And Michael Saylor has essentially created this insane Ponzi around the way he's buying BTC, right? So
Yeah,
you combine that with the Fed lowering rates, Gary Gensler getting out of office. Like we haven't even started the actual Trump pump, as crazy as that sounds, and it's I think it's going to blow people's minds, like the actual Trump pump, and these prices are going to be looked at as, man, I should have levered up a bit more. Man, I should have borrowed a little bit more money. Man, I should have been all in at this point, right? Because I mean, guys, just take a look at what happens after the December monthly open for halving years, right? It's a blip in the radar. So,
and that's right here, by the way. So like this is Thanksgiving, but like this is this right here is the December open. Like this is like December right here, and then here, these are, I marked out Thanksgiving of the halving years. So then like here is the December open, so like here's where we're at, little pullback. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over,
Man, visually looking at that, that's just insane, eh? But
Donnie,
you're right. You
bro.
painted a perfect drawing with that, Max, with the Thanksgiving sell-off and everything. Like The main differentiator here is that people are thinking that this is the first big take profit area on BTC, right? Like kind of like how you have this next wave and then you have that actual correction that's like 20% plus. And you pretty much just outlined that it's not going to be that. And then if you take the context of, we've literally just come out of a 300-day reaccumulation for BlackRock after the ETF, and you think they're going to sell, a 50% profit position to then redistribute those funds into Ethereum, to then redistribute those funds into altcoins after a 50% pump, after the biggest catalyst that we've ever had in crypto, Trump winning the election and all these other catalysts lining up. Why would they sell after a 50% pump from that 300-day range to start distributing funds elsewhere? Like, you still have so much more juice in Bitcoin before you get that liquidity shift, and you can see it on this chart comparison.
Yeah, to answer your question, even though it doesn't even need to be answered. It's a rhetorical. They wouldn't. They're not gonna. They got their
No.
foot on your neck. They're gonna keep pushing. Like,
Yeah.
We're just getting started. But this, like, it helps to provide some additional perspective when you look at it like this, because the mind has a difficult time, really quantifying and being able to like adjust to new conditions. And the mind doesn't think logarithmically. You have to kind of train it to do that. It thinks in a very linear fashion where you're like, oh, we were stuck between, 50 and 70 for 8 months. And you become conditioned. You're like Pavlov's dogs, you're like, oh, range high, I shall short. Ooh, range low. Or actually, it's the opposite. You're like, range high, I will long. Range low, I will jeet. Like people, it's the monkey neuron activation meme. It's like, I see green, I will buy, and I will sell red. So it's like you become conditioned and exhausted during a range, and then like the conditions change, and you see a little bit of red like you're seeing today, and then you're just like, oh my gosh, like I can't go back to that 8 months of pain that I went through. And you're unable to like shift your mindset and just know that, like, remember, no dips. Like that's the season that we're in. No dips.
Literally.
Yeah.
This is like a 7% pullback as well. And with that context of what do you think they're going to start taking massive profits on Bitcoin now? It's literally up 36% from the prior high of 74. With all these ETF inflows and everything that they've set up for all these years, because it doesn't, it didn't just randomly happen this cycle. This stuff has been in the works for like 10 plus years, and now they're going to sell on a 36% pump to start, essentially wrapping up the cycle by throwing it into ETH, alts, memes, and then that's the end of the cycle. It makes absolutely zero sense. And based off your chart, Max, I think we could go much higher than 110, 120 even from this pump that moves forward.
Oh, I think you need to zoom in and look at my axis, Donnie. I think your numbers are off. Try again.
Damn.
Try again.
200 plus in Q1.
I don't know. We'll day by day. We'll
Why
see.
so
Bro,
bearish?
I'll say it right now, man. 200K now, that because this is the thing for me, is we're actually living in the bull case. So there is no more bear case, no more base case, in my opinion. You could argue a base case maybe, but we're essentially living in the bull case for crypto. And 200K for the end of the cycle, that's kind of like, the base sort of case that I'm looking at right now. It could go so much higher than that for Bitcoin. Like, we still haven't even had Trump go into office, start implementing all these regulatory changes and all this stuff, being able to leverage the banking system to, people being able to collateralize their debt with Bitcoin. That essentially puts a forever bid on BTC. So even the bear market that follows this, it might not even be as bad as we used to see. We used to see 80, 75% corrections. But if there's this forever bid, kind of like the stock market has it, with pension funds and all this stuff consistently buying, it's like automated. The bear market for Bitcoin might not even be as brutal as we think.
And not to mention, Donnie, not to cut you off, but what people forget is that in late 2022 and throughout 2023, a lot of the banking rails for traditional funds, right, to buy alts, they were all closed off, right? You guys remember Operation Choke Point, what happened with Silicon Valley Bank, Silvergate, all that stuff, right? Like these were large funds that would buy altcoins for their clients, and all that stuff got shut off, right? And that's kind of why like the flow of this cycle has been so materially different. Just the disparity between the BTC bid and the altcoin bid has been more wild than ever, right? Like, guys, if we take the last week of price action, right, here's how it went. AI memes caught a bid for 2 days. Dino coins caught a bid for 2 days. And then for 1 day, the L1s from 2021, right, like Harmony, AVAX, Phantom, stuff like that, caught a bid for a day, and then everything got sent to Kingdom Come. Like, what kind of a rotation is that? Like, it's so weird, right? Like, you get these little like vectors of liquidity, and a sector pumps for a day or two, and then it immediately evaporates and goes to another one. Like, there hasn't actually been a like prolonged sustained bid for more than like a week or two per sector, right? And I think like all that changes once Trump gets into office. Like, again, the actual banking rails, right, for these funds, right, the Silvergates, the Silicon Valley banks, right, all that stuff got cut off because of Ferry Gensler, right? Study the Trump pump and study the goodbye Gary Gensler arc. Starting on January 20th.
Did you say Ferry Gensler and Gary Gensler? Did I hear you correctly?
Oh my God.
I just didn't know if my audio was coming through a little bit off.
Yeah, but I mean, that's something to really pay attention to, right? Like, this cycle so far hasn't really played out traditionally, where you have BTC pumping, then ETH, then your other L1s that are new, and then the trickle down effect. It's been a crazy rotation, right? And any sector that gets a rotation, those gains are given back within a couple of days, right? And I do think, right, once Trump gets into office, and Donnie said all these things get implemented within regulatory stuff, right, cutting some red tape, it's going to be beautiful, and people are going to remember the real product market fit of crypto, which is NGU tech, number go up technology.
Yeah, I mean that's the truth, bro. Is like the best utility that crypto, the best invention that's ever come about from digital assets. We'll say Bitcoin is number 1, Tether is number 2, and then 3 is just everything pumps around it as like community run Forex pairs. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, that's just my own opinion, but I agree with you, Wabi. Like, suddenly the tech becomes really, really interesting when everything's appreciating in value. And yeah, guys. All right, let's do this. So we're about 50 minutes into the stream. We got some time left. We're just getting rolling here. If you guys are watching the stream, I need you to do me a favor. All right, I need you to share this. I need you to like the stream. I need you to retweet it on Twitter. I need you to send out the YouTube link. I need you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do all the usual stuff. All right, show some love. We're hanging out, having a good time. Things are looking good. I think we did a nice job here on the panel of sort of prefacing, and I guess maybe in a way, like kind of backlogging, like where we're at within this cycle, right? Like what we're seeing right now, Thanksgiving sell-off. It's annoying, but chill out. You're good. All right. We've seen this every year. We see this every single year. All right. But what you see right after that, of course, is December through April are typically pretty out of control, right? And if you get shaken out here at the last moment, it's not going to be so good for you, my friend. Okay. But now we need to narrow in the scope a little bit. So we started very, broad. We started with Bitcoin. Then we started talking about ETH BTC and Bitcoin dominance. How this cycle is looking so far, where it could potentially go. But a lot of you guys are Boys Club holders. You hold Pepe, you hold Andy, you hold Landwolf, you own Brett. And you want to know when Moon. People ask me all the time, when Moon, Max? When Moon? My friend, I will tell you when Moon. Okay, I'll tell you when Moon. We are about to Moon, and I'm going to show you why. We're going to go through all the charts, and we're going to talk about it, right? We're going to talk about how all the charts look. how they're all pair trading against ETH, how they're all pair trading against Pepe, everything, right? Because this is that phase. Like, look at this chart before we switch it over. Look at this chart, guys. When this chart goes green, blue, purple, that is like, picture yourself in a sailboat, all right? And when you go from green to blue to purple is like when the wind, the strongest gust of wind is at your back and you are just flying in that sailboat. Right now, you got like the worst, like you got the swirling wind from all over the place, like the what do you call it thing, the boom or whatever, like it just hits you in the head. Like you have been during the lifetime of Pepe. Look at this, guys. Look at this. So look at ETH BTC. Then Bitcoin dominance goes down when ETH BTC goes up, and look at how Doge responds, right? I'm going to show you Pepe, all right? I'm going to show you Pepe here. Doge went up 11,000%. Then Doge went up 35,000% when you go from green to blue to purple. Now I'm going to show you Pepe, all right? I'm going to show you Pepe right now. Here is Pepe, all right? Pepe has never existed in a time where ETH has outperformed Bitcoin, meaning the wind has been in your face. You have been swimming upstream. Conditions have not been ideal for you during the lifetime of Pepe. You understand that? Pepe came about in April of 2023. You know what's happened since April of 2023? Literally, Bitcoin dominance has been up only, and ETH BTC has been down only. And by the way, Pepe is going to perform its best when ETH BTC is going up and Bitcoin dominance is going down. The exact opposite of what the lifetime of Pepe has been about. Pepe reached 10 billion market cap during not optimal conditions. That's crazy.
That's unbelievable, Max. Like, honestly, hitting 11 billion in that much of a vicious ETH BTC downtrend, when that flips, like, Pepe is literally going to go parabolic, even though it's already at 10 billion.
Like, Pepe's chart's going to look like this, guys. Like this, because look at what Doge does. Look at what Doge does. When this chart does this, if I could get this to draw, hang on. Like when we get the blue zone right here, no one, like people just, they can't wrap their mind around this, guys. Like, look at when Doge performs its best. Like this is going to be nuts. And then and we're going to, if you don't know, we're going to talk about it. What's going to even perform better than Pepe percentage-wise? Most likely Andy and Wolf, right? So it's like, look at the infancy. Look at the infancy of this Pepe chart. Everyone's like, we're nuking today. It's over. And I'm like, dude, sit on your hands. Turn your brain off. Turn it off. You're trying to think about this thing. You're trying to like position for, a 6-month swing trade of glory for when ETH BTC goes green, blue, purple, and Bitcoin dominance nukes. Because look what happens to Doge every single time. Look at it, right? Look at what Doge does. It goes nuts. You're trying to position for this, but you're watching it today on like the hourly time frame, and you're like, it's over. It's over. We're nuking. Oh, Coinbase was a sell signal. Coinbase was the top, dude. Unplug the brain from the wall. Cut the power source. Just cut it. Because I'm telling you, wait for the blue. Pepe has never existed in optimal conditions. Because here's the thing. Pepe is ETH beta. Pepe is on Ethereum. You have never owned Pepe during a time when ETH has outperformed Bitcoin. It's never happened. That's not priced in yet. That is not priced in. People are thinking, oh, 10 billion already? We're bloated. 10 billion market cap, there's not much room for upside left. My friend, you have never seen Pepe exist. It's never existed during a time period where it's had the wind at its back. It has been swimming upstream the entire time that it has been around. I didn't think we'd get to 10 billion this fast. I didn't think we'd get to 5 billion this fast. ETH is not even at 3,500, guys. ETH BTC is back down to its basically like swing low of last cycle. It retraced its entire last cycle bull market. And Pepe reached 10 billion market cap.
And ETH is closer to its old all-time high at this point in time than it was to this point in time last cycle as well. That's the funny part. And everyone's clowning on ETH. Like this time last cycle, going into Thanksgiving, ETH was like 150% below the old all-time high. Now we're like 30 or 40. Like, that's good.
Well, there's one thing about ETH that's slightly different, and it's just that other L1s were not bleeding as bad in previous cycles as ETH has been this cycle, right? Like you didn't have Solana going straight up while ETH bled. You had them all bleeding together while dominance went up, right? So that's what people point to.
And I think it's fair to note that like, hey, other L1s, but it's most haven't been, right? There's been some like Solana, but I would argue to those people, you're cherry picking. You're cherry picking a unicorn, right? But I would counter them to say you're cherry picking, and I would also counter them and say that doesn't matter because ETH BTC is doing what ETH BTC has always done. Look at this chart. It's just aligning perfectly with Bitcoin dominance. The first half of the cycle is Bitcoin. The second half of the cycle is ETH. There's not a problem. Just because Solana's pumping doesn't mean that there's a problem with ETH, right? That's a fallacy in my view, right? And I'm not saying to you, Tucker. I'm pretty sure you and I agree.
No, I know. I mean, yeah, you haven't really seen. I mean, you saw like Cardano pump last week, which was funny, but you haven't really seen. Like, oh my god! Yeah, I went to 120.
Well, look at Sui. Sui's like 3x.
Well, yeah, Sui. That's. But you're reinforcing their point, Louis. You're reinforcing their point.
I mean,
right,
yeah.
but
they haven't really pumped. They haven't really pumped, bro. They've been chart them all against Bitcoin. Like, what does ADA Bitcoin look like, bro? It's literally in the grave right now. It's 6 feet under. You know.
I agree with ADA, but Sui.
They look just as bad as ETH BTC.
Let's like pull up here. I'm gonna pull up Sol BTC. And then ETH BTC.
You also have to think about who's accumulating ETH right now. Like, think about what we just went through with Bitcoin for the past 6 months with the Bitcoin ETF. Yes, it was bullish on the announcement, but guess who was accumulating for the last 6 months? And we literally traded like crap for 6 months in like a range, right? And that's how these big institutions accumulate, right? They have the power and the money and the capital to hold these things down and accumulate them by sending price up and down before finally letting price go. So when you think about it in that context, you know, Bitcoin traded like that with the ETF. ETH is probably doing the same thing. Like, you think that those ETH ETFs are sitting there with all this data and smart money is not accumulating the ETFs? Like, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Sometimes you need to FUD your own bags, guys. You guys need to study that. Okay, you guys need to study that.
Were you gonna Tommy the chart for me?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. I mean, just
Louis, we started to see some ETF inflows recently, didn't we? Or did I make that up? I'm pretty sure
they've been way better, especially over the last month. Nothing crazy yet. But we're seeing,
but not zero, which is the important thing.
Not zero, and it was negative for a while.
Yeah,
it was negative for a while with the grayscale.
That's like Coke, bro. I'm like, so you're saying there's a chance, and it's like the smallest inflow.
Above zero. No, yeah, they have. I think they have looked pretty good. I mean, look at, like, you know what I mean. This is the same spot on the chart, right? Sol Bitcoin and ETH Bitcoin. I had this turned off, the title turned off, because I was going to put the Boys Club Index up there. But yeah, like, this is people's points, right? Like, you can do the same thing with Sui too, right? I mean, Sui's new, but I feel you with ADA though. ADA BTC looks like
it's shambles, bro. Shambles.
Dead cat. It got the pop. Right.
But hang on, it got the pop back in early 2023 or 2024 as well. Like, I'm just saying, like, I think it's like that's the pop. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. The only thing you can point to counter me saying like ETH isn't going to actually rally is Sol. That's the only thing that I would actually bend the knee on and just be like, yeah, Sol's been destroying ETH, like without question. But
even with Sol, like we saw the same thing last cycle with BNB kind of being in Sol's position in this cycle, you know, breaking out of its, you know, to a new all-time high when Bitcoin did, like shortly after, and ETH still hadn't. So it's, yeah, Sol is kind of acting like the BNB of this cycle, you know, also having the same sort of use case of like being the casino of this cycle. It's kind of making sense. You know, we had Pancake Swap and BNB, and now we've got, you know, Solana ecosystem with memes.
Yeah,
He is
You know, it's
so
crazy, man.
it's
Like,
so weird.
I think close to 10% of the current Solana. I think like close to 10% of Solana's circulating supply is destroyed via pump fund stuff, either things that have rugged and are super liquid, or just things that are just like popping up left and right over the last 2 weeks. I think we tweeted about it, right? I think like close to 7% of Sol circulating is in things that have actually rugged on pump fund and have less than like 10 bands worth of Sol liquidity. So pump fund, right? Even though like it does get a bad rap, right? Because of the whole live stream stuff, like a lot of the supply from Solana is just lost forever. But speaking
That's
about that,
bullish.
I do think if pump fund actually gets destroyed, like Sol will literally go to $500 in a day. I think so.
I don't know about a day.
If pump fund like goes out of business, bro, or I don't know, they get seized or they stop operations, it's the most bullish thing for things on Sol, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think, you know, obviously, like you said, right? Like pump fund does burn a lot, so they dump a lot of Sol every day. So from that perspective, yeah. I mean, people would like knee jerk probably be like, you know, oh no, the premier token launcher on this chain is now gone. Like that's bad.
Premier.
It is premier. Okay, it's
Game changing. Yeah, good tech.
Good tech. Yeah, but
or maybe Sol goes into a mega demand zone. Right?
You owe me 10 cents. That's coming out of your next paycheck, right there.
Yeah.
10 cents. You use
I'll
that.
write it
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Yeah. Take note of that, Tucker. 10 cents.
I
Every
got
time
it.
someone says mega demand, they owe me 10 cents. So
And Tommy says it's a vampire attack on Sol. Should we look at the boys club though?
yeah, we need to. Sorry, I'm just tinkering with a chart right now. I'm probably gonna share the green, blue, purple that just so people can have it for later.
Study this chart, guys. The index. I'm pretty sure this wick was real, so I'm going to use it. But
Tucker, please explain exactly what we are looking at and why we're looking at it, because some people probably haven't seen this chart before.
yeah, this is just the.
This is proprietary, by the way.
Yeah, this is proprietary. This is that is awesome. This is just
You should probably sell the retest, Tucker. That's
yeah. Everyone should probably
neuron activation.
Everyone cheat here, sell here.
Neuron activation. I see red. We should sell. Yeah.
Bull flag.
And more of a wedge, but okay.
No, guys, this is just an index of Brett, Pepe, Andy, and Wolf. That's all it is, equal weighted. So this takes into consideration all of their charts and market caps and puts it in one thing. So this is basically what you're trading when you're trading any of them. But yeah, this chart looks great, man. This chart looks great.
So this basically, guys, accounts like if you put, 25% of your portfolio in Pepe, 25% in base Brett, 25% in Andy, 25% in Wolf, equal weighted. This is what it would look like, right? in the simplest. That's the simplest way to describe it, right?
This
The
is like
equal
what your
weight,
P&L curve would look like, basically. Yeah.
and it adjusts for all the market caps being very different from one another. Okay,
Mhm.
it's proprietary.
It's very proprietary. Yes. So
This one will cost you 20 cents to get access to. So
yes, let's put this thing in log. Not the retest that we'd like in log, but we busted through that level. I mean, here's like our pretty basic first target, guys, is that 42 bill level, right? So think of all of them together. Pepe, Brett, Andy, and Wolf totaling 42 billion. What that would look like. It's probably like a 3x from here on Pepe. Maybe like a 5 to 8x on Wolf, and many more 10x plus on Andy and Wolf. Or sorry, I should have said Brett first. Brett to probably like 8 bill, 10 bill. Andy and Wolf combined for 5. That's probably your first Q1, February, March, somewhere in there. Maybe a local top for those. You know. And that's probably not going to happen, but we'll leave it up there. We'll leave it up there anyway. You don't even want to talk about that level. But yeah, I think 42 bill is a nice spot.
You know what I like about the boys club trade and where we're currently at is that, you know, you guys especially, you've been educating people on, you know, it's not over for Ethereum. We haven't seen the cycle play out, all this kind of stuff. To us, this trade, and to many people who watch, it's very obvious. You're just betting on Ethereum with leverage through these meme coins, right? So once ETH finally has its breakout, this trade is going to become even more obvious because everyone's going to see these charts pumping, especially from Pepe to Brett, and then they're going to see, you know, be looking for betas to be bidding, but they're already going to be flying. And when ETH starts to rally, it doesn't really give you an entry in a bull market, you know, a retest or another correction, reaccumulation, and continue pumping. It kind of just keeps sending. And since these are tethered to ETH, they're just going to keep on pacing behind it. Whereas like with other ETH bets, it's kind of hard to calculate how high they're going to go, what's their peak valuation going to look like, because they haven't been mirroring ETH's like exact price action as good as like Pepe, Brett, Andy, and Wolf have. That's how I'm viewing it. Like when I'm looking at other ETH pairs, other ETH meme coins, things like that, they are moving with Ethereum, but it's kind of like they either pump when ETH pumps and then they fully die off, or they've just got like very weird timing with, you know, when they start to gain liquidity on the ETH chain. Whereas with these four, it's like you get one red candle on ETH, it bleeds onto all four of these. You get one green candle on ETH, it bleeds into all four of them. It's very direct. It's very obvious. So the higher the market caps go, the more this becomes obvious throughout the cycle, and the more that people realize, wow, ETH is really back and it's not going away. You start getting all the bullish news now for ETH. You start getting the ETF inflows coming out from BTC and going into ETH or skewing into ETH's favor. These three coins behind it, these four coins behind it, they're going to be such an obvious trade that there's going to be so much FOMO because it's just such a sure bet. Whereas all the other ETH coins, it's like very hard to predict when they're going to pop off and catch that liquidity flow because it is kind of random for them compared to these four.
Yeah, I agree. Very easy. It's very easy to just sit and spot in these and know that you're just levered up on ETH basically, and know that that trade is essentially inevitable.
Yeah.
You know, but
and then the further down the risk curve you go on the four, you know, the higher the multiples on the upside. So as long as you can stomach all of this volatility, which, you know, is inevitably going to stop, and all this chop is going to end eventually, sooner rather than later, you're in for a great trade and a very obvious trade. You know, something where you can allocate like a good bulk of your portfolio and know you're going to catch multiples. Whereas, like, you know, I also buy other ETH meme coins and stuff like that, but it's going to be very unpredictable to know when they actually pop off. You know, you're going to probably see Andy, Wolf, and all these other coins be the first movers, as we've always seen. And then, you know, once ETH gets into an extremely euphoric state, people start taking profit from ETH and throwing it around the board, you know, your meme coin might eventually catch a bid. It probably will, but it won't be as, you know, as sure of a bet as these four, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I agree. I think the chart's pretty good too. I think you might get a little bit lower potentially, but I just think your December monthly open to end is going to be very bullish
Insane.
for altcoins. Yeah,
It's gonna be insane,
Yeah.
man. And I showed you guys earlier where Bitcoin most likely is, where you get these kind of November pullbacks towards the end, right around Thanksgiving. And then you just spring so hard out of it, man. Everybody comes back with a belly full of turkey and stuffing, and they're just on the buttons for 6 months straight. Unless this time is different.
Oh, that's beauty.
Is that the
That's
monthly?
beauty, man. No, that's a quarterly
Quarterly.
VWAP. Yeah.
I don't know. Looks like the lower cloud needs to get tested to 65, Tucker.
Yeah. Better come down here. Yeah. That's so bullish, though. That's crazy.
Let me ask you guys a question, and I want you to answer it with a yes or a no. That's it. So we're gonna go around the table in about 60 seconds here. We're gonna start with Tucker, then Louis, then Wabi, then Donnie, because that's how you guys show up on my screen. Oh, we got another gentleman joining us. Wyckoff Insider, what's up, bro?
What's up? How are we doing?
Dude, great to finally have you on stream, bro. I just checked. I sent you the DM. I saw you guys were on your own stream. I'm happy you got to join us. I was going to ask everybody a question right now, and I want just a simple yes or no from everybody. We're going to start with Tucker. Tucker, if I paid you 2x the value of your Boys Club portfolio right now, and you can't trade for another 6 months, would you take the 2x on the current value? Yes or no?
No. Absolutely
Louis,
not.
yes
No.
or no?
No.
Wabi, yes or no?
No.
Donnie, yes or no?
50x or nothing.
Wyckoff Insider, yes or no?
No, we're not gonna do that.
A panel of Giga Chads, man. Here's the way that I view it, and this is just kind of my own way of thinking. It's like, here's the deal. I feel like it's the bottom of the 9th inning right now. American baseball. We're in the World Series, bottom of the 9th. Bases loaded. We're down by 3. Full count. And you're sitting up there going, do I want to bunt it? Do I want to try to bunt or maybe hit a single? Or do I want to go for the grand slam? How many chances in your life do you have to take a crack at history? I'm going yard every time. If I strike out, I strike out, but I'm going yard. You won't see me bunting or looking for a little single. I mean, the stage is set, gentlemen.
We've been putting in work for years for this. Literally.
Man,
Years.
ETH is going to 15k this cycle, man. I just don't know what else to say, bro. And these
Oh
coins
my
are directly
God.
linked to ETH. Just fucking hold, man.
I agree with you. And Donnie, here's the deal. So we got a couple guests on today. Donnie, we've had you on, I think, a couple times now. Wyckoff Insider, we've never had you on. Apparently, the gym was more important than the charts last time. I'm just giving you shit. But I want to see some Boys Club charts from you guys. All right, specifically Andy and Wolf, and why not even throw Pepe in there? Donnie and Wyckoff, would you guys be gentlemen and share some charts with us? I see Wyckoff Insider, you've already got your chart up on the bottom here. All right. Maybe we start with you. Could you tell us what you're seeing with Andy, Wolf, Pepe, etc.? Give us the rundown, man. You're up on the screen here, Wyckoff.
All right, I'm gonna grab some charts. So let's get started with Pepe. Of course, the most important one, the alpha play of the Boys Club narrative. Of course, Ethereum is the main alpha, but after that you have Pepe. Now, Pepe just got a super clean chart. It's basically main mark structure is just up, and you're just having clean demand mitigation. So this is your whole demand zone. Nice demand mitigation. Wait, let me check. For higher. And right here, we had a super nice accumulation. So quick explanation about myself. I'm a day trader. I use supply and demand concepts combined with Wyckoff. Wyckoff is an theory how you can see market maker involvement on the charts. So yeah, I'm basically just trading with the market makers. And what did we have on Pepe? I put my ranges when we are downtrending from low to highs. So we had this, and you have your range right here, and you're simply deviating the range low. So you have an initial range low, initial range high, and you are deviating the range low. Signs of accumulation. We never hit the initial range high. So market makers are scaling in. They are creating FUD at range lows, building positions. They have their limits set, and they are basically getting filled. And yeah, after that, you get the Coinbase listing. So some insiders were buying here, and you get the Coinbase listing right now. And yeah, money will flow into the beta plays. So then we have Andy, I think the nicest beta play to Pepe. If I'm going to look at this chart, it's just crazy because I get so hyped when I see market maker involvement on the charts. And this chart is just, it keeps nailing market maker involvement. It's respecting ranges. It's not giving like the cleanest Wyckoffs because there is so much demand for this project. So it doesn't need the time displacement to create a whole Wyckoff. It's mainly just a range with one deviation, one manipulation. If you know, you know. How bearish people were here, it was not even crazy. And yeah, then you got just the crazy squeeze up.
Wyckoff, do you remember what they were saying at that time? Because that's when I first found you and Lars. All the Head and Shoulder boys were coming out on X being like, it's a Head and Shoulders, it's going to break down. When in reality, we did the exact opposite. I don't know if you remember that time period well, because I do very, very well.
I remember so good. It was funny because I was just streaming like a few minutes ago, like before the stream, and I put up a post I made on that time. So this is when we put in that low. So we had your initial range low, initial range high, and you get the manipulation phase of retail positions, the deviation of the range low. And I was literally saying, are people getting scared? Good. We are close to a bottom. We are in an accumulation range. We are having seller exhaustion. We're leaving a lot of liquidity behind. The pump is going to be massive. Bought some Andy in the manipulation phase. So yeah, you just need to be different. Buy when everyone is scared. And yeah, it worked. You had like a 700% pump. So super nice to see. And yeah, the chart is just getting better and better. The whales are accumulating, the supply is getting in the hands of people that want this project to do good. So I think if we go above this high, the FOMO is just gonna get crazy. People are already talking here from, should I take profit right now? Is Andy not gonna do what it's supposed to do? And that's what you want. Like the non-beliefs are getting out and the big boys are getting in. So I like to play with the market makers, so I'm good positioned, and I think you guys are also good positioned.
So what are you prospecting from here? Because obviously, I don't have to tell you this, but I'll narrate for the people that are just learning about this. When ETH moves up, Andy moves up more. When ETH moves down, Andy moves down more. How are you feeling about this current setup on Andy, given the backdrop of where the market cycle is at and potentially a prospective rotation into ETH from Bitcoin here? I see you had the ETH BTC chart up as well. Where do you think Andy will maybe finish this local correction into and then maybe spring out of?
Yeah, so I have two zones. Like this is your last accumulation range. So this demand zone is the strongest demand zone ever. We will not go below this demand zone. It's the same how you had the demand zone right here. I'm not in the whale chat of Andy, but I just can say how this chart is looking with the imbalance push you had out of here. This zone will get protected at all costs. Like we will not go below this zone. I even will set myself some limits here. So this is the lowest we can go. But right now, locally, we are creating a range. So from here to here, you're downtrending. So you put your range from low to high. And yeah, we are wicking the low again. We are coming really heavy into it. So I want to see more time displacement, more value getting built here. And if you then sweep, for example, the low one more time and start accumulating, yeah, then you can add here. So that's how I'm seeing it. And yeah, I'm ready. And I will buy more if we have this.
So in order for the extreme demand that you have there, the green box, to get hit, we'd probably need to see ETH pull back at least a couple 100 points from here, I would think.
Yeah, like on ETH, we are showing signs of distribution, so it's totally possible. We just came in the craziest market maker supply zone ever. So why is this market maker supply, and what is supply? Supply is like a place where a lot of transactions were going on. So if you come back to it, it will give a reaction. Why is this a strong supply zone? It's because it's backed by a Wyckoff. So this is where the market makers fixed this whole dump. So strong zone. We came into it, and now we're creating a distribution range on ETH. So I see ETH giving that pullback in here and then start reaccumulating. So that would maybe give the energy to pull back any to here. But time will tell. We also have demand protecting here. So this is also strong demand. So it's not confirmed yet. I also do not like the time displacement locally right here. I want to see more price action before I can say this. But yeah, it could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I agree with your outlook on it for sure. I definitely agree with it. And guys, here's the deal. He's gonna keep cooking for you. I linked his X account. I see some of you guys already saw it. Okay, but for those that haven't, you can check the comments. It's in the comments on YouTube. All right. If you want to follow him for more charts, he's going to keep cooking and show you why you should keep up to date with what he's doing and his analysis. He's got a lot of free analysis every single day. Go to his X account. It's in the comments right there. You just click on the link. Wyckoff Insider. It's really simple, guys. It's super simple. Free analysis. It's right there. All you got to do is click on it. You click a button. Anyways, ETH BTC. Looks like we have completely retraced the pump from last bull market, right? Are we done? Are we done with the pain?
Like, I'm studying a lot of timing. So it's important that the chart is showing something, but time cycles is also important. Timing wise, this could be the low. Timing wise, we should put in a low like this month or next month. So that's the window we have. Right now, we came into extreme market maker demand. So this is where literally the whole imbalance push up happened, market maker demand. So yeah, this could be the low. And we are leaving so much liquidity behind. This is not over. This will get cleaned. So I think you can basically have one chart that's only this chart. And when this chart hits this liquidity level and you see signs of weakness, you can scale out all your positions. Of course, I have way more exit triggers, but like this chart, do not fade this chart.
Yeah. That kind of matches up what I was saying yesterday on Market Check. Like ETH BTC is literally just in a macro range at this point. The question was, do we think it's going to make new highs? My answer was, I don't think so. I think we probably continue to oscillate within this macro range, basically where we're at now, range lows, where he has that magnet, basically range highs. And I would agree. I think ETH BTC getting that high, even if it gets that high, is definitely probably close to the top for ETH and altcoins as well. I agree with that.
And I think you would agree with this next statement that I'm going to make, Louis. I don't think that ETH BTC needs to make a new cyclical high in order for ETH to do Donnie mentioned 15K. I'm thinking like 10K is written in the stars, 12K would love to see it. 15K is for me a dream come true because I know what that means for my ETH beta, right? But I think that ETH BTC could, rally to 0.075 this cycle. And I think that's all we would need for a 15K ETH. It's like, imagine Bitcoin goes to 220, 230, which I think is totally realistic given where we're at right now. And I think that you could see ETH BTC not even eclipse the last cycle high and still see a 12 to 15K ETH.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's already a couple 100% off the lows with ETH BTC in a constant downtrend, right? So, doing a 2 or 3x off the lows, where you see there on the chart, ETH is up well from the lows, and ETH BTC has been in a downtrend the entire time. So imagine what ETH can do with ETH BTC in an uptrend, as well as in price discovery. Because right now we're fighting a lot of overhead supply, which is why it's kind of taking us so long. If you look to the left of the chart, where Wyckoff Insider's marking it up, that's all supply, right? That's all people who, were either got in late last cycle or still holding from last cycle. It could be just selling because, they were waiting for it to get back to break even or whatever. And they're finally just okay on letting go of their bags. But once you get through that supply and you start to enter price discovery, you'll see moves like we just saw in Bitcoin, like teleporting from 74K to 98K, 99K in just a couple of days because there's no supply left. There's no sellers left. Everyone who has bought in, at that point, once you're above 5K is already in profit, right? So you don't have past cycle sellers selling on you every time you get a pump. So, I mean, I don't think we even need to get close. I mean, even if we get to range highs in ETH BTC, I say that's, ETH, coming into like 15, 16, 17K, something like that.
And Wyckoff, when you're done here, I'd love for you to chart a little bit of Wolf for us. Wolf, OX67.
Yes, I will do Wolf.
And of course, the chart looks very similar to Andy, but slightly different, of course. But the beta train.
Yeah, did you guys already talk about like the Ethereum ETF?
No, we looked at ETH, but we didn't talk about the ETF specifically.
Because like people are just fading. Like the big boys are not even pushing the ETH ETF. What will happen when they start pushing that? It's gonna get crazy.
And we actually mentioned how we're starting to see some inflows into the ETH ETF finally, which is great. So, and if you were to look at like the ETH A chart, like the Ethereum ETF, that's how the boomers see it. The boomers see ETH differently. So look at ticker ETH A, ETHA, and then A. Yeah. So that's what TradFi sees when they look at ETH. That's their chart.
Why are all those?
Because it doesn't trade on the weekends, so it's closed Friday night through Sunday.
Yeah, this not. You can't do anything about on this chart.
No, it's just the fact that like there is some significance to the IPO price. So like if you look at how we've interacted with the first opening price of that ETF, we kind of swept it and then rejected a little bit.
Yeah.
That's just waiting to get broken.
Yeah. Once we flip that, everybody that's sold below that opening tick, the IPO price is cooked, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll get crazy. So hyped on it. Like when Andy and Wolf makes like all-time highs, the FOMO is gonna kick in crazy because then people see the narrative again. I remember when they saw the narrative, the FOMO is it will get crazy.
Yeah, I got the craziest chart to share with you guys after this. I've never showed anyone, but I'm gonna do it.
We're in for a treat. All right, let's do Wolf, and then we'll kick it over to Donnie. All right.
I couldn't resist. This one's for Max.
Donnie, for me? Oh,
for you, brother.
Such a kind guy. Such a gentleman.
Do you guys know which is the good one?
I like this one, but you could do L Wolf on MEXC if you like a centralized exchange one. So you'll have to do L Wolf.
Yeah, that's it.
So right in front of Wolf, put L. And then you could do it on, MEXC. It's a good one too.
So let me see. This was super easy to buy because you had just a simple range, deviations, and you even got a local range right here where you get your accumulation. So that's exactly where I did scale in. We hit the target of the accumulation and we were reaccumulating right here. It was having so much power that it was, you were building like a crazy trend line right here. Normally, I do not like to see that because I want like liquidity sweeps, but like on Land Wolf, you are not leverage trading, so you do not have to sweep liquidity. And right now, we have a super nice demand zone right here. It's not tapped. It's basically your range breakout with imbalance pushes out of it, and it's never tapped. So I would love to hold this zone, and I'm even myself looking to add to this position. Because I cashed some out in this distribution, so I'm looking to scale in back when we hit this zone, and that will then also align with ETH showing a little bit more signs of weakness locally. I think we can hit this zone, and I would love to hold this zone.
Yeah, so pretty similar to Andy in the sense that like we made a really strong push out of the previous accumulation, and if we happen to get that deeper ETH retrace, then oh no, Bitcoin. I saw your alert. Oh no, it's over. Bull market canceled. It's
We're
over.
People need to study this zone. This is a strong zone. But yeah, we also have like a local range right now.
ETH is already bouncing.
Yeah, see here, and here's the thing too: is there was something that I observed. I think it was Sunday night to yesterday, where when Bitcoin really started this pullback, you didn't see ETH USD pull back like I would have been conditioned to think that it would, right? Like ETH, the plunge protection is very clearly out right now on ETH, right? And that's different because normally when Bitcoin sneezes, ETH gets destroyed and everybody memes Vitalik, right? It's just that's how it's been going for like the entire cycle so far. ETH has been making a mockery of ETH, but right now you can feel like the winds are changing very slowly. All right, very slowly.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like ETH will take over. ETH will melt phases.
Yeah,
people are not ready for it.
It's going to be a painful catch-up trade for many people, right? Because you can only FUD something for so long until it becomes a hated rally. We're getting real close. Because, I mean, look at this. Bitcoin just took out the local low, and look at what ETH is doing right here. Like, Bitcoin just swept the low. ETH is still holding its mid-range, right? That's different. Yeah. That's, without any doubt or hesitation, that's different. It's so much different than what we've been used to.
Normally, like ETH would have been here.
Yes, even worse. Zero, and ETH BTC would have puked, right? But it's not happening.
Yeah, we're noticing that. I mentioned that on Market Check too, but like today, like especially, like you're seeing like L1s and L2s starting to outperform. Like on a red day like today, you got stuff like SUI, INJ, like up double digits. So that's a good sign, right? Especially for ETH BTC. And obviously, if the pattern is that other L1s and alternative L1s are going to lead ETH, that's a good sign, right? So tides are definitely turning for sure, in my opinion. And the timing of the cycles is matching up perfectly with that. So business as usual.
Business as usual. All right, here's the deal. We're gonna kick it over to Donnie because Donnie teased me. All right, and I like when Donnie teases me. Donnie said he's got a chart specifically for me. All right, he said he's never shown this one before, and I'm really excited. All right, I'm really excited to see this one. So Donnie, show me the prophecy. Show me the roadmap, because I feel like whenever you show me a roadmap, Donnie, it usually works out pretty damn well. When we had you on Market Check, it went pretty well for you in hindsight. So, all right.
Is my screen showing?
Wait, here we go. All right, Donnie, you are up, bro. And by the way, if you guys aren't following Wyckoff Insider yet, I take that personally. You understand? I take that personally. It's very upsetting to me that he would come on here, take time out of his busy day, and you wouldn't go and follow him on X. I take that personally. So his X account again, I've dropped it again. I had to do it 3 times now for you guys. All right, it's over here in the comments. You just saw the man cook for you. It's right here. It's on the screen. You can't miss it, and it's in the comment section. Go follow him, because you don't want to make it personal with me, and I take it personally that you would absorb all this content and not follow him. I find that to be very rude. So, all right, Donnie, this chart,
build it up,
especially for me. Especially for me. All right, let's see it.
This isn't the chart. I'm gonna build up the next chart for you. So
You're teasing me again. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, you know, you gotta start with foreplay, brother.
That's crazy. That's crazy. All right. The tension in the room right now is crazy. Donnie, please.
So I want to explain because we covered a nice little starter part at the start of the stream of, you know, how the cycle is about to play out. We're having that, you know, Thanksgiving sort of sell-off before, you know, the real wave starts to begin for the whole of crypto, and more specifically, you know, Bitcoin. So right now, ETH is far below Bitcoin on the chart relative to just like the chart structure. You know, you've got Bitcoin breaking all-time highs by a decent margin. You're up like, you know, 35% from the 74K high, whereas ETH is nowhere near its all-time high, and dominance is still high. So what we covered earlier was that, you know, December and January tends to be the start of the real like parabolic run for BTC, and by extension, the rest of the market. So I think we do see one more big wave on Bitcoin before we start seeing, you know, that take profit sort of liquidity flow where, you know, let's say Bitcoin, the all-time high is here, you break out and you get the big run up, and it's finally deep enough, say it's like 100% higher than the last all-time high, where people start clipping out and they start throwing it, you know, down into ETH. Why would they do that? Okay, so let's say these people have been in the market, you know, the ETF participants, they're in the market from 63K. So at least they're going to be holding this for, you know, a 2x minimum. Let's say like 120K, something like that. But you've got people that have been in the market since 15K, 20K, 30K, whatever. Now, when Bitcoin gets to a price, let's say 120 to 150, for them to get continued multiples on that money, because they're here to make profit, to get another 2x, they're going to have to go to 300K. Why would they do that when, let's say, Bitcoin pumps to 150, ETH is trailing behind because it's still going to be catching bids just because of how euphoric Bitcoin is, you know, turning into. And even if Bitcoin dominance is going up, you're still going to have ETH price, you know, increase in value. So let's say Bitcoin has one more wave up, you know, around that 120, 150. ETH starts to trail behind it, gets close to this prior all-time high, which is pretty much 5K. Let's say I'm a big Bitcoin whale. I'm at 150K. Why would I hold Bitcoin for another 2x to 300K, which is, you know, somewhat unrealistic, especially in the short term, where I see ETH at 5K and I can bid ETH and I know I can get a safer 2x because potentially it could go to 10K because it hasn't even broken out of its chart yet, instead of holding Bitcoin. So I can get a further multiple. So if I held Bitcoin from 50K and I'm up 3x to 150K and I get another double on that 3x, that's going to be a 6x run, you know? So that's how the liquidity shift happens. They take profit from Bitcoin. They see they can make more money on ETH because there's still upside room left. They go in for ETH. They run out of room on ETH for upside. They throw that into altcoins. And, you know, it's this trickling down effect that you may have heard of before. So I'm expecting the next wave for Bitcoin, December, January, you know, to be higher than we are now. It could be anywhere above 100K. And then for that effect to start taking place. But ETH is going to be much higher than it is now when that take profit sort of stage starts to commence for Bitcoin. So if it's around 5K and you start seeing liquidity pouring in and they flip the script on the Ethereum ETF, a 2x on ETH is like a low bull target from this area to get to 10K. That's why I'm thinking by the end of 2025, because we're still talking about Q1 here, you can definitely see a 15K ETH, especially if Bitcoin, you know, is going above that 200K level, which you have 12 months to achieve with some of the greatest macro we've ever seen be aligned with the crypto market. So
Donnie, the only thing I hate about this chart is that you want Bitcoin dominance to go higher, and I take that personally. You understand?
I don't want it
personal
to.
for me. I need it to collapse already, bro.
I know. But if you can withstand waiting a few more months, it's actually more bullish if dominance does, go a little bit higher. Bitcoin soaks up that liquidity and we get to a very high price on Bitcoin for then that taking profit, liquidity flow start to commence. Because when, like I said, if ETH gets to 5K and you haven't seen Bitcoin dominance drop yet, when that switch happens, you're going to teleport to 15K. Mark my words. If that happens, if it plays out like this, and it can, because it's the ETF cycle, it's the 0 to 1 moment for Bitcoin. This is the global store of value that people are trying to flee to because of money debasement and all these things. So, okay, enough about.
No, I love all that. I agree with all that. I think the stage is set perfectly, right? We already set the stage. It's World Series, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, down by 3, full count.
Bro,
I mean, it's time to hit a grand slam right now.
Yeah. And so, that's how I think it's going to play out. And even if, it doesn't play out exactly how I think, it'll be something similar to that. And, ETH valuation is definitely going to smash through this all-time high by a big margin. So, enough about the majors. Now I'm going to show you quite a funny chart. And I'm going to see if you guys can figure it out before I tell you what it is. Because I'm not going to go over the technicals like Wyckoff Insider did. He did a great job. And, we kind of have the same trading style. I adopted like a lot of his methods with, Wyckoff accumulations, distributions, and things like this.
Is that Matic down below?
Wow, you called it fast.
You want to know how I know that that's Matic? Because it was only one of 2 tickers that didn't break down from its bear market or a bull market range low last cycle. It was BNB and Matic. And also, I'm familiar with that chart because our very own Tommy, also known as Snorlax, was basically market making Matic during the bear market. We were just following him into shorts whenever he would pile in. We shorted the crap out of Matic last cycle, man. It was the most fun I've ever had in a bear market.
He's saying Matic is Andy. I see what he's saying.
Now listen to my thesis.
Please.
Here's the thing.
Enough foreplay, Donnie. Please tell me already.
Let him have it.
So the technicals.
It's so aggressive, Louis. He said, oh my gosh.
I'm the aggressive one. Come on.
Louis, that's just too far, bro. I can't believe you'd say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as the technicals go, during this point in the cycle for Matic, we had, you would call this a Wyckoff model to accumulation. You've got a range, you deviate the low once, you come back and backtest like extreme demand or something like that before you pop off, break out of the range, and start an uptrend, like a big uptrend. So the interesting thing about Andy or Matic here, why I'm referring it to as Andy, is the last cycle was L1 dominant. We had the prior cycle where, the introduction of L1s sort of came into play, and then we had an L1 dominant cycle, right? And these, coins like Matic, they were directly linked to Ethereum. Matic was a layer 2 Ethereum solution. So during this period here, Matic got released, funnily enough, 23rd of March, which is similar to when Andy started really coming into the scene. Funny how that plays out at the same sort of time of the cycle, right? You had these first 2 waves, and now
must
you've got
be a
Matic
coincidence,
here.
right? Must be a coincidence.
Yeah. And then you've got the first high, a second high, and you fall into this range, right? You've got the same thing here. Now, Matic around this time was actually around the same market cap that Andy was. It was around 200 million market cap, fell down here around 100 million, something like that. And then, popped off to have like an extremely parabolic run. And since the last cycle was dominated by L1s, and we had that prior cycle of their introduction, last cycle, we also had the introduction of meme coins, and now we're having a meme coin dominated cycle. And now we're looking at premier ETH beta, as Max likes to call it. We had Pepe, we had Brett, and now we've got Andy on ETH as well, which is directly linked to Pepe. But the charts are playing out the exact same. And you can see what happened when Ethereum started to finally break out into highs. What price was it around here? 1K. I think
I think
Yeah,
the
it's not-
previous cycle all-time high was like 1400, if I remember.
Yeah, it was around.
correctly.
Yeah, it was around 1400, and you break out of that high, whatever, and you can see on the bottom there what happens to Matic chart. Now I've got it on log mode. If I take off log mode, that's where we are on a comparison to Andy. One of the most parabolic runs that like we've ever seen. Now, of course, Andy was Matic was a layer one. Layer was it a layer one or layer two
Layer
solution?
two, yeah.
Layer
Layer
two.
two, yeah, just became a layer one. And so that was kind of like the most looked at sector, right? I think it ran to
16 bill.
16 billion market cap. Yeah. So that's kind of my absolute maximum target that I can see for Andy if we get the absolute bullish case scenario for ETH, which I'm thinking 15 to 22K. If we get the upper end of that, I guarantee you will see Andy over 10 billion. If we can get ETH above 20K, around that 22K mark. And because the narrative has shifted to meme coins.
Oh, Donnie, hang on. You said 15K. I just heard I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I thought that I heard 22K.
You did. That's
Okay.
that's kind of like the absolute maximum upper end that I can see for Ethereum before we start to sell off. It makes sense psychologically, being 2 cycles behind Bitcoin's price. There's kind of like the psychology of that. We had Bitcoin in 2017 hit 20K, and we're kind of lagging by 2 cycles behind that with Ethereum. So if Ethereum nears that 20K level, I think it's going to be a strong psychological level, potentially a place to create a distribution to sell off Ethereum. But you might deviate the high. You might deviate that 20K high, hit 22K on the top of the wick or something before we go into a bear
And
market.
because you and I are somewhat aligned on like our cyclical timing, I'm assuming you're thinking like 12 to 15K would happen by like May, June, and then we sell off into the summer and run it back up for a distributive predatory high into maybe Q4 of 2025, kind of like you have right here on Matic, right?
Yeah, Q4,
Okay.
and this peak was higher.
Yeah.
It'll be something like that. I'm pretty sure. But we'll see how it plays out. It could be. I'm torn between if it's going to be a 2013 to 2014 style run where we had the first peak on Bitcoin. I can actually pull it up. We had the first peak on Bitcoin at $280. We had this sort of sell-off reaccumulation, and then we pumped to 1,200, right? We had a much higher high for that second high. Now this is interesting because this is kind of like the first real bull run that we saw for Bitcoin, and now we're having the first real bull run for institutionally adopted Bitcoin. So that's kind of like the comparison that I'm looking at here. Or we get like a mix of that 2014 cycle with 2017, kind of how it's like an up only curve. But we'll see what happens around that May period. It's definitely an area where I'm looking to cash out some big profits and reassess the market.
Yeah, that makes sense. And guys, don't make me do this again. I'll do it again. If you don't follow Donnie after what he just showed you, once again, I take that personally. It pains me to my core. You understand? So for you to come here and absorb this content without following him on X, again, I take that personally. I don't know how many more times I need to say it. I take it very personally. It's very upsetting to me. I might shut the stream down right now if you don't go to his X and follow him. That is a threat, just to be clear. It's up on the screen. It's in the comments. If you don't follow him, you need to reevaluate your priorities in life. You need to do that immediately. It's up on the screen. It's in the comments. He's here taking time out of his busy day. It's like 4 a.m. where he lives. We don't even know where he lives, but it's so early. And he's here chugging Red Bull for you guys to be on this stream. You can't even follow him on X? Once again, I take that personally. Come on, guys.
I've never
Donnie,
showed anyone
forgive
this.
them. Forgive them, for they do not know. Okay? Forgive them.
I forgive them.
No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. You forgive them after they follow you. Forgive them.
But
All
yeah,
right.
so that's the thesis there, man. We had an L1 dominated cycle last cycle, with the prior cycle to that being the introduction. And then also last cycle, we had the introduction of meme coins. And as you can clearly see, we've had a meme coin dominated cycle this time around, but we still haven't had the Ethereum breakout with ETH BTC chart, going crazy. And once we do see that, you're going to see a rerun of the L1s for a lot of these top meme coins, especially ones that are directly linked to Ethereum, which is Pepe, Brett, Andy, and Wolf. There's
Like
no
if you're
point-
looking at, see, I like this chart, right? Go back to the Andy one, because
This one?
the way, yeah, right there. I've been talking to people about this before, where people are like, "Is it a good entry on Andy? Like, could it pull back?" I'm like, okay, yes, right. All the levels that we went over with Wyckoff Insider are valid, conditionally valid depending on what Ethereum does, of course. But you're going to look back on all of the price action from June all the way through, the duration of 2024 for Andy. You're going to look back on this as one giant reaccumulation. So whether you buy at 170 mil market cap or 270 mil market cap, it doesn't matter, right? You want to increase how much Andy you own. So in that sense, down the line, it will matter. But are you really going to care that much 6 months from now when ETH BTC is on a heater? I would argue probably not, right? From a probabilities point of view, probably not. The chart's going to look like this.
Yeah, it's definitely going to look like this. Especially, just looking back at this is my specialty. Like, I've literally researched every single altcoin, meme coin that's ever existed. And I'm telling you, this is how I predict fractals and all this kind of stuff. I don't just pick up a chart that looks the same. You have to apply all of the context around the whole market conditions during that time, compare it to this time's market context and conditions, and come up with a thesis. And I guarantee you, the top meme coins on Ethereum, they're going to perform like some of the L1s did last cycle, hitting billions of market cap like it's nothing. And the top performers, they're going to be definitely above 10 billion. Because just in general, as you go cycle to cycle, these valuations are going to increase over time for, some of the top coins.
So, Donnie, you showed us Andy, my baby, but I'm
Yep.
also a very large proponent and advocate of Landwolf. How are you seeing Landwolf? Or, I mean, the simple answer is it's the same as Andy, which
Yeah.
I have data to suggest that they really are kind of trading the same, more or less. But how are you viewing Landwolf within this full picture contextually?
Honestly, you had beta last cycle to Matic. Well, there was some coins, I don't remember their name, but it's basically going to be like the exact same as that. It's going to be a beta to Andy. It's just slightly down the curve for risk.
Right.
It's going to probably be a little bit more multiples, but like ultimately they're going to move the exact same, like chart structure wise. So there's not really too much to discuss there. Like, the technicals have already been covered. Wyckoff did a great job with that.
Yeah.
So we're literally just waiting for the green light for Ethereum. And because the thing that people don't realize with these coins is the liquidity in these tokens, right? You've got like 5 million liquidity or something like that. And so you have to work out how price moves by a percentages of, the liquidity pool. So if something has 1 million liquidity and someone drops 100K into it, it's going to move the price by 10%. So when you have a 5 mil liquidity pool on Andy or a 3 mil liquidity pool on Wolf, and people start taking massive profits out of Ethereum and speculating on these sort of tokens, the amount of money that flows in is so large compared to the liquidity pool that you're just going to be getting like vicious green candles to the upside, because there's so much more money in Ethereum and liquidity than there is in Andy. So even if like the tiniest fraction of that gets thrown into these coins, it just moves price like exponentially. So that's kind of like the main thing that you need to like take into consideration and understand when you're looking at these tokens. And like Wolf was even smaller than Andy, so it's just gonna also follow the pretty much the parabolic run that they're gonna have, that I'm really expecting is gonna happen.
Yeah, and it's going to be crazy when like Andy's going to start adding 50 to 100 million to its market cap in daily candles in the not too distant future. And in my view, same with Wolf, right? It's like they're going to enter this new regime where like during the entire existence of Andy, it's accomplished everything that it has, with ETH being a piece of crap the entire time, right? Imagine when ETH is not a piece of crap. The type of on-chain wealth effect that's going to occur in an instant when ETH starts rallying above 4K. And I feel like we've been waiting forever for it, but I mean, seasonally and cyclically speaking, that time should be really, really close.
Yeah. Q1, man, you're gonna see, bro. It's gonna, yeah. Oh, I can't wait for it.
So you got Wolf down below.
Yeah.
Andy up top. Yeah.
You can clearly see, like, the structure, the candle patterns, they're identical pretty much. This is slightly lower market cap, so it can be, a little bit more exaggerated on either the bottom or the tops, but ultimately they have pretty much identical candle price action. So, it's on the upside when money is just literally being thrown in regardless of how the chart looks. It's just going to be a parabolic run. Like, there's no other way to explain it. You look at Matic and, like, it's just, you start bolting up, and these low areas down here, like, it might not look like it didn't. I'll put it back in log mode. Like, just from here, from the breakout zone to, kind of like the first top you had, you're up 2,100%. What happened during that March, April, sort of going into May period? You had this, reaccumulation or whatever, and even from here, you managed to push up another 400% on top of 2,000% from that low, which ends up being like a
while Bitcoin was going down too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Bitcoin's, forming that distribution, which is AKA people taking profit, throwing it into ETH. ETH is coming up. It's bleeding into the top L1s of last cycle, or in this cycle, it's going to be the top meme coins. So yeah, bet on the fastest horse, bet on the data. It's very clear, every little market bounce or relief we're seeing on ETH, you're just seeing these charts react before any other coin, any other meme coin.
It's so obvious. It's so obvious at this point. It's just a waiting game. All right, guys, we got to call it here. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Before you go, make sure to follow Wyckoff Insider and Donnie Dicey on X. You should be able to find their profiles. I put them in the comments. If not, just look them up. They're both great follows. Guys, thanks for joining us. Fun little Tuesday stream here to talk about Andy and Wolf. For those of you in the Discord, oh my gosh, look who jumped in at the last second. Just as we're wrapping up, man. Big Lars. Just at the last second. Oh my gosh. Oh, dude, we're just wrapping up. Well, I mean, all right, look, here's the deal. All right,
can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Here's the deal. All right, we got to run the afternoon Discord call. So, Lars, you want to cook for us real quick? I'll hang back with you, and Tucker and Louie, you guys can pop over to the Discord. Because I mean, he jumped. Lars, I was literally wrapping it up, and then you popped in. So now that you're here,
I just got home from training. I was like,
you still have the Gymshark shirt on. You still have the shirt on. That's how quick you didn't. Bro, you just popped right in here. All right.
You want to do that,
Lars? You want to cook for us real quick? Well, I can hang back for like 10-15 minutes if that works for you.
What were you guys talking about? Just Andy? Some nice altcoins,
Wolf, ETH BTC, ETH USD, just like ETH beta, and a big rotation that's coming from now basically through Q1, hopefully.
I can cook something up for like 10 minutes, and then I'll let you off. You guys have been going for 2 hours.
we're long-winded, let's put it that way.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
See you, Louie. All right, guys. You guys lucked out. You lucked out because I see we lost some people. We lost about 70 people live, but that's fine. You're lucky because Lars came in at the last second. We were about to shut the stream down. So, Lars, we're going to get you up on the screen. Let me share time.
Is Wyckoff Insider still in here or no?
Oh, yeah. He's in here.
Yes.
What's up, brother? How are you doing? How was dinner?
Amazing. It was good.
What'd you eat for dinner?
I always eat steak.
Always? Like every night, no matter what?
Bro, he's living in Dubai always. Now, man. Steak dinners, Lambos. It's the cycle top for him.
Wyckoff, you have to promise me something. No watch pictures until the cycle top, okay?
I'll I was actually thinking about buying one. No, I'm joking. I'm putting everything in Andy. I first get that 20x on Andy.
So Lars, I have to put some blame on you right now because you came on Market Check and you said we were going to pull back right in that red box, and we did. So I think you owe some people an apology because that was, I mean, you said it.
I was hoping it was not gonna happen, but it's always that first high time frame bullish market structure shift where then if you pull the negative fib from low to high, they're just too good. They're too good. But you can already see it on the screen, right? It's nothing but a healthy retrace. But what surprises me the most is the psychology of just retail when you're pumping aggressively and then you're pulling back. Like retail is actually, let's say Andy went from like this low only up 100%. They would be like just a consistent move up to 100%. They will be more bullish than if Andy were to push up 300% and then pull back 30. You know, like the pullback is what gets people the most. It doesn't matter how hard you pump prior to the pullback. They'll just be like, oh shit, we have a pullback. Should I have taken profits or not? And it's like, even with BTC, you know, you go from 70 to 90 or it's from 70 to like 99 and then you pull back to 91. And now it's like, I'm getting messages of, yo, should I have taken some profits or not? Or was this it? Whereas if you had a consistent move up from 70 to 91, there was nothing to worry about. It's always that tiny pullback, no matter how hard you pump prior.
Shambles. They are in shambles over this Bitcoin pullback right now. It's wild.
Yeah, it's. I was checking local price action here. The issue that I have, I was literally short from this exact high. I was short from this exact high, took profits at this low. And left some to run with my stop at break even, and it just like the market maker was like, nah, not today. Took that high one more time and then actually moved down. But yeah, regarding Andy, what's very funny with Andy is that every time, like it does the same thing every time, and I'm very curious as if it's gonna happen again, because what we saw was that we had that pivot point right here in structure where we broke back the bullish. But when we were breaking back the bullish, we had that accumulation that we were talking about. And it's that 1, 2, 3, that model 2 accumulation. And then you get the retest, and then the retest has yet again the accumulation. This was more like a second tap instead of like a proper 3 tap. But again, you had that 1 and you had that 2. While you were already expecting a higher low for the higher high. And now this is a very good break of structure. Like there's no doubt about that, no denial that it's a very aggressive break of structure. And then you pulled back in that, you know, POI that we were expecting a pullback, but we weren't hoping for the pullback. And currently you are again forming a higher time frame range where I think, yeah, you just had that sweep of the range low. So as long as we can kind of keep ranging in here, that would be extremely bullish. Kind of keep ranging, maybe pull back for a higher low, and again have that 1, 2, 3 formation. Like it has been doing it over and over again. Just in this last bullish expansion, it has done it here, here, and now potentially here. And on the previous swing point right here, it did the exact same. It also had that 1 and had that 2. And even if you call it from here, it was again that 1, 2, 3 effect. So for me, there's like, this is just nothing else but a great buying opportunity. Also back testing that macro kind of range demand, you can call it, if you just follow structure up, making higher lows and higher highs, just trading spot, this would be, you know, a place where you start scaling in for the higher low for the higher high. Because I do believe that the next higher high is going to push us to the all-time high, because MEXC has this wick here. I don't know what that wick is looking like on deck screener. I don't think that wick is there. I think you just front ran that all-time high, but it was just testing people's patience one more time, like one tiny more time before actually blasting off. But
and the big difference between like the ranges that you're highlighting right now and the one that we had in May before we went up 800%, the big difference is that during the May rip, when Andy finished that reaccumulation and went to the current all-time high, you had ETH actually rallying. Where during this entire recent range markup, ETH has kind of been, I mean, it's been trying, but it hasn't really started to rip yet. Right? That's the big difference. So when you say like you think the next one is going to be the one to take us to all-time highs, I assume your bias for ETH is that ETH is probably going to be marking up again soon. Or maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah, no, that's definitely correct. I wanna actually just ETH for a moment on the chart. Because ETH was in a very good looking local distribution. Yeah, that hit its target. Let's check. For me, it's really, man, if ETH can go above 4K, I think the move from 4K to like 6 is gonna be. I think the move, if you reclaim 4K, I think the move from 4 to 6 is gonna be so fast that people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wait for the pullback. I think that's truly once you start marking up towards that 4K kind of resistance and you flip it into support, that is going to be a straight shot up where people are hoping for that back test, which is just not going to happen. But right now, I'm just following some structure on ETH to kind of get a feeling of where we are. It's from the low up. Let me get rid of this volume. For me, we've just been making higher lows and higher highs, right? Higher lows and higher highs all the way up. And then right here, we wicked our market structure low. A wick is not a break of structure back to bearish. That's literally just a liquidity grab. And actually, if you break structure from the top down back to bullish, you can get a full rotation. But ETH doesn't have proper structure on the weekly from the top down. Yeah, you have, but that high is literally almost at that 4K high. So that's pretty useless right now. But I'm hoping that ETH can. Preferably, I want ETH to stay in this range. I was hoping to just break out here, but instead of breaking out, we had this range going on, and we wicked that range high. And that local wick or that deviation kind of had its own little 1, 2, 3 distribution. But the target of that distribution is, technically speaking, just to sweep that low. Like anything extra is follow through, and we do have demand below us. So.
And Lars, not to cut you off here, something that we were talking about before you joined was like if you looked at Bitcoin right now, I know you probably know the price, but Bitcoin has been selling off aggressively here, like sub 91K. And we are seeing a material difference in how ETH is behaving right now versus what we would have maybe expected to see like even a few weeks ago. Like the plunge protection control on ETH right now is much more alive than it has been in many months.
For sure, and it has to do that ETH BTC, for me personally, it came at DPOI. Like this 2-week order block right here, that last bearish candle before the bullish expansion, which was actually backed by the volume profile POC of that accumulation range. That right there, that was like, that was the max level. I was like, yeah, you want to call that mega demand. It's not a big demand zone, but it's a very strong one. So you can call that mega demand, mega support.
Lars, you owe me 10 cents, bro. You know the rule here. When someone says mega demand, they owe me 10 cents. Okay.
So that's truly a very good POI. I'm actually pretty curious as to what this negative fib does. I don't know. A bit lower. Okay. The thing is, we're bouncing right now, but I don't want to get my hopes up yet because we haven't broken any high time frame structure. So coming down towards that POI, you're making lower highs and lower lows. So your first signs of strength, like proper high time frame signs of strength, will be to break this market structure high, which we're currently trying. We're bouncing, but nothing is confirmed yet. The thing is that, once this starts breaking structure back to bullish and you kind of expect that higher low for the higher high, there's just like, this is just a trend line of highs. I know it's not particularly liquidity, but for some reason the TA still works on even like pairs against pairs, right? But there are no like significant high time frame supply zones in this whole move down. It's just lower highs after lower highs. So it's like
aggressive.
Yeah, but the thing is, even if ETH BTC doesn't break structure right now, I don't think that's gonna particularly hold price back and hold like Andy and Wolf back from performing. I think that's still going to perform extremely good. Because, you know, maybe Bitcoin is just going to go on an even crazier expansion towards the upside before actually distributing, because the moment when you see ETH BTC perform, it's always when Bitcoin starts its like topping formation. So simply, if you just add Bitcoin to this chart, last time you can see, even if I just keep the lines on the chart, like truly when we got that massive expansion right here, you can see that Bitcoin is already starting its topping structure right there. And then the moment Bitcoin starts to kind of distribute and starts that topping formation, ETH has another run up. That's why this goes parabolic. So we might be in the same area right now, where maybe this is the start of a future higher time frame topping structure, because basically what we're doing right now on Bitcoin is we're creating high time frame structure. We had one expansion towards the upside. There's no proper daily structure or anything. So this pullback could simply be a higher low for a higher high that then could take us in some sort of a topping structure, whatever that might be. And then you see ETH, while Bitcoin is creating the topping structure, you see ETH to flip that 4K, have that run up to 6, and you see this ETH BTC pair shoot up. And then that's kind of when everything, you know, it's kind of in line with alt season, kind of in line with the ETH beta plays to go parabolic. And that's when you actually kind of need to be cautious, you know, because it's nice seeing that pump, but you can see that right after that pump. I know what the time span of this is. Yeah, like 2 months.
But also,
months
maybe would you put your Bitcoin chart in logarithmic mode and look at 2 cycles ago, so 2017, because we did see something similar from a timing perspective, but it was slightly different. Or I think you'll need to put the Bitcoin scale in log. Yeah.
Where are the settings on the Bitcoin? Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So you can see that in 2020, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know. Maybe you might need to put, like, there's an echo cancellation on your end. I can kind of hear myself talking. If not, we can power through. But there wasn't such a pronounced pullback on Bitcoin once ETH BTC bottomed in 2016, 2017. Not like last cycle, right? So I don't know how you feel about, you know, both Bitcoin and ETH rallying together, whereas it's a little different than, you know, 2020, where Bitcoin was full blown in like a textbook Wyckoff distribution. And then we saw ETH BTC catch a big move. It was a little bit different during 2016, 2017.
Yeah, so you're saying that right here, like Bitcoin is moving up and ETH just completely ripped.
Yeah, so like
right
they
there.
both really rally together, and we don't get like a Bitcoin distribution in order for ETH BTC to rally like we did last cycle.
Yeah, that it's like the thing is, when something has not been happening consistently, anything is like any scenario is still on the table, because like I'm referring back to last cycle, but then the cycle before that it wasn't the case, and that's the only data that we have. So truly, indeed, we should be open to any possibility. I just know that ETH is going to run, like it's inevitable. You have an ETF, so like I think people are forgetting that. It's just that it's a bit delayed right now, building up a bit more frustration with people, especially when Sol was going absolutely nuclear, already putting in an all-time high. Getting a rejection now though, but you know, also the Sol memes just ripping out 10x's left and right. I'm seeing the craziest tickers just pump. It makes no sense. But I do think that's also just a phase in the market, and like the bid for actual high quality memes with data backing them up, that's gonna perform extremely well. Like it's I've seen tickers pump. I think Donnie and Wyckoff Insight know more about that than me, which just makes no sense, bro.
Yeah. And hey, Lars, while I got you here, I think it would be a disservice for me to not pressure you to chart Pepe, because everybody wants to know what Pepe's doing, because Pepe's kind of leading the meme, the fresh meme super cycle, in my view. Obviously, we could probably include Doge in that as kind of like the king OG meme, but how do you feel about Pepe here, bro? Because we saw some pretty crazy price action because of the Coinbase listing. We got a nice pump, selling off a little bit. I'm personally expecting not too much more of a retrace here. but I'd love to know your thoughts, and I'm sure the audience would too.
So Pepe is extremely bullish on the high time frame, especially. It's always extremely nice when you get that massive pump, breaking the all-time high, and then you start retracing without breaking any form of mid to high time frame structure back to bearish. Like you have one straight shot up, and if you want to draw structure, you simply have a higher low for the higher high, and it's one move up. Like price never took that high, so the market structure low right here stays the same. So it's truly, if you have that massive pump up and then you slowly retrace, leaving a lot of buy side liquidity above you, like this is just one massive trail of buy side liquidity. I was actually long from this pivot point right here, but that unfortunately we hit some take profits, but then the stop loss got hit at break even. But it could be that this is actually forming one of those accumulation models that we always talk about. So right here you have a range. After retracing from that massive pump, you had a range, and then you have your range low. You got that deviation 1. After deviation 1, we extended towards that range low, and now you're getting that deviation 2. So if you break structure back inside the range, you're going to have a range rotation all the way back up. And that structure would right now, following it from the high to the low, lower highs and lower lows, that structure would be right here. So if you can reclaim that 0.0195 area, you're gonna have a rotation back up, because then you have a very high time frame model 1 reaccumulation after pumping aggressively into new all-time highs. And I always pay very close attention to what happens right after that pump when you get listed, because that pump was also during that list. And a big difference, for example, is that right here you have a pump very aggressively, and then you slowly retrace. It's about that timing. You kind of consolidate and you slowly retrace, leaving all that liquidity above, making it a very easy move to go higher. When you compare that to actually WIF, because I was paying attention to WIF, let me pull up another chart. Because WIF also had some sort of listing. I don't know exactly where, but it was pretty significant. What WIF did,
WIF got
the moment
Robinhood and Coinbase on the same day as Pepe, but it didn't have the it pumped, but it didn't have the same kind of reaction that Pepe did.
That's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to say right here. The whole purpose of that pump was to sweep that high and go into distribution. Like you can see right here, you had the 1, you had the 2, you had the 3. Took some extra liquidity on the left. That's what that pump did, and you immediately reverse back down. That's what I'm always so careful about, what happens right after the pump. Because right here you got that move up, but you're like, okay, is that move up going to break structure? Is that move up going to be sustained? Or is that move up just a move up to sweep liquidity and reverse? Because that's what we saw almost the entire time back in March, when we got these massive listings of Tau on Binance and all these other meme coins like Bonk that got listed, and they just absolutely had that spike up, probably trapping a lot of traders and then reversing back down. And WIF had the exact same right here. So right here, this pump candle, that was that listing, but that was just to complete the distribution. On Pepe, you get that spike up, it stays there, and you slowly go down, right? You slowly reaccumulate, you consolidate, you form a range, you deviate the low to get ready for that next leg up. That's the difference in the behavior after the listing that I like to pay attention to. And Pepe, in that sense, is so bullish. Like, it's so bullish when you take the all-time high, you break it so aggressively, and then you slowly come down. Like, even when you compare that to Solana also just took the all-time high. But what happened the moment you took the all-time high? You see some sort of a distribution, some sort of a wick on the higher time frame, and you're coming down. Like, Pepe took that all-time high on a listing, just absolutely broke it like a beast, and then comes down aggressively, leaving liquidity above, with your structure low all the way down here at 0.0123. So whether, we reaccumulate right here, or whether it fails and we kind of feel some more inefficiency towards the downside, it's definitely a very strong performance after the listing. Because you have to realize, like, a coin gets a listing, but it's like, if you just look at the coin as like I don't know, maybe like a human being, is like it's pretty significant for the coin. It also needs to get used to that new power, the new buying power that can come in, and just the overall behavior of the project after getting such a massive achievement. And some projects, they cannot handle it immediately. You can see it. They wick the high, they reverse back down. Pepe, on the other hand, absolute beast, breaks structure, confirms the break of structure, comes down slowly, looking like a reaccumulation. So, my opinion, very bullish chart. Very bullish. And if you break that high right there, you're already going to get a retracement or a rotation back up towards that range high and maybe even higher. And then if we fail to break that high, you can maybe see a bit more of an inefficiency on the left here, and then probably no lower prices than this bounce, because that's kind of also the structure demand which was on the listing. So it would be also nice to recover that, reaccumulate, and then go higher. It truly depends on what's going to happen right here.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thanks for breaking that down. All right, guys, you're lucky we snuck Lars in here at the very last second. Boys, thanks so much for joining us today. All right, I'm going to remind you guys that are still watching. I know we lost some of the audience because we were wrapping up here. I'm going to link everybody's X accounts one more time. All right, one more time. We went into overtime right now. Lars popped in at the last second. Let me get to his Twitter too. All right, follow these guys. All right, they have a lot of great alpha to share. They're posting every single day, sharing analysis for free, helping educate. So support them. And if you don't follow them, I take that personally. And you don't want me to take that personally. All right, so show them some love. And guys, thanks for coming on. This was another, normally we do a mega space, but today we did a mega stream for Andy and Wolf talking about the Boys Club, ETH Beta, ETH BTC. We talked about Bitcoin. This was kind of a masterclass on everything crypto right now. And I'll tell you guys, I'm very excited about the next couple quarters. I think the best is yet to come. Before you guys go, again, follow these three boys on X. If you don't, all their Twitters are in the comments. All right. You guys should already know who they are. But if you don't, give them a follow. And last but not least, like the stream before you go and follow the BP YouTube channel if you are here watching for the first time. And again, guys, thanks so much for being here. We will see you next Tuesday. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving if you are celebrating. And yeah, stay safe out there. The best is yet to come. See you guys.
Thank you, Max. See ya.